Thanks very much for joining us for the Intermodal Logistics Podcast. I'm Kevin Baxter, joined by my co-host for this edition, InTech Logistics President, Shelly Austin. Hi, Shelly.
Hey, Kevin.
It's been a little bit. We redecorated since you were here last.
I know. I've been traveling, and all of a sudden I come back and it's crazy.
Yeah, sorry. Can't help tinkering, right?
I know.
So on this edition of the podcast, we are unveiling a new offering from the largest chassis provider to the U.S. intermodal industry. To tell us more, we welcome Rob Finch, Vice President, Domestic Sales for Direct Chassis Link, also known as DCLI. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
So first off, tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, and your role with DCLI.
Sure. No, that'd be great. So I started in the transportation logistics industry, originally working for CSX out of Jacksonville, Florida. My first role was kind of more in sales and marketing, capacity management training programs. And over time, I worked through different commercial groups, forest products and metals, and mostly on the merchandise side of the business. But then I figured if I was going to spend a career as a railroader, I probably needed to understand how to switch a boxcar. So at that point, I went into operations, helped run a hump terminal in Birmingham, Alabama for a few years. And then at that time, CSX was looking to start a strategic initiative about how to improve first and last mile service for their merchandise customers. The operating team said whoever's going to help lead this needs to understand operations. And the commercial team said, well, whoever helps with this also needs to understand the customer. So it was a great fit for me to work on those type of things. I've really, I guess, over the course of my career, found myself at the intersection of commercial and operations is where I've kind of gained my expertise. So did some of that stuff for CSX for a few years, and then went back into commercial, helped run like the agricultural business unit and the chemicals business unit for a couple of years at CSX. So I was with them for 15 years. And then DCLI, the chassis industry, was looking for a sales leader who could help speak railroad, if you will. And there were some other folks from CSX that had come over to DCLI. So it was a good fit, good opportunity for me. I hadn't spent a lot of time in intermodal before that. So it was also an opportunity for me to learn the intermodal side of the business. So I joined DCLI back in 2020, November of 2020. So I've been over here for just about 4.5 years. Now the VP of domestic and RapidLink. So my responsibilities here just really cover all commercial activity for the 53-foot chassis franchise for DCLI. But then I also have full responsibility over our RapidLink franchise, which is all about basically road service, both servicing the DCLI portfolio, but now also servicing other customers as well.
So Rob, I would say, and I think that we're starting to get to our community to really feel the same thing. I mean, chassis are such an unknown commodity in the intermodal business, but they're critical. They're like the linchpin to make it work successfully. And I think that's kind of what we'll talk about in this podcast is what happens if something goes bad. Because, you constantly hear, oh, well, that missed delivery because it was a bad ordered chassis. Oh, we can't go through with that pickup because, something's wrong with the chassis or something, this, that, and the other. And we constantly hear those things. But I don't think everybody truly understands the impact and how we need to resolve those situations. So I think it's great where your history is and where it brings you today, because I would say that everybody just doesn't understand that critical nature of the chassis.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's pretty rare that you get a call and you're like, hey, I had the best experience ever with this chassis. There's nothing wrong with it. And get some of the other phone calls. So yeah, we definitely, see the need in the industry across all chassis types and owners, but as well as trailers too. And how do we provide a service and product that, can minimize downtime and make a good experience for the customer. So it is a space that we'd like to believe we're becoming experts in and can help bring value to the marketplace for sure.
So tell us a little bit about RapidLink Repairs.
Yeah, so RapidLink is a company that was born from kind of DCLI's road service group. DCLI has over 300,000 chassis. So as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of maintenance and kind of off-terminal work that needs to be performed on those units. And so we were handling 130,000 calls a year on just our own assets. And that group, the road service group, obviously reporting into me, lives in the commercial department, and we put a high sense of focus around customer satisfaction. That's something we're passionate about, making sure that customers are happy with the engagement. And so what we found was customers started to come to us and say, hey, I like what you're doing when I have an issue with a DCLI chassis. Could you perform repairs and dispatch repair for my own equipment, or for a different lease that I have, or on the trailers that I run? And so ultimately, RapidLink was born because of a demand from kind of our customer base on expanded desires for us to help perform services for other equipment. So we're really fortunate. We have a 24/7 nationwide repair footprint that provides fast and reliable service. It's kind of interesting. There was a study done this past January about roadside repairs and kind of what do people want in a maintenance provider? And the number one answer was a nationwide solution and footprint. And so we're fortunate to be able to have that. And we've got about 1,800 mobile technician locations spread out across the country. But we're constantly adding to that technician base, because mechanical capacity continues to be something that I think a lot of people are in need of and in search of. So we're really excited about what we've got and where we'll be going in the future.
So, Rob, is it specific to chassis, or are there other repairs that can be done?
Yep. No, it's not specific to chassis. While that's kind of where we started and where we were born from, was the chassis space. We can do any repairs on trailers, any type of trailer. We could do any repair on that as well. Obviously, a lot of similarities between those equipment types, but also containers too, right? So if there's an issue with a container, whether it's on the road or preventative maintenance or otherwise, all those things are different types of repairs that we can do at RapidLink.
Excellent.
So people, I mean, obviously these are out on the road all the time, all over the country. Did you find that, I mean, the customers that you had for DCLI already were happy with the service? Were they also finding that there weren't as many options or weren't good options out there if they didn't have a DCLI chassis?
Yeah, that's right. I think, there's a lot of kind of regional solutions that may be out there, or especially if you think about the universe. So we service customers anywhere from someone who may own 5 assets to thousands of assets. And so, for some of the folks that may not have the same size fleet, access to the same amount of repair capacity, or access to a repair vendor in a remote location, were just things that I think most people don't have ready access to. And so that's where I think we can really help bring some value to the marketplace and help hopefully provide a better service solution than what might be out there today.
So, Robin, specific to non-DCLI equipment, do you have certain things that you have to work through or go through with the individual owner? So if it were a different pool owner for that chassis, or if it were a private box owner, I mean, how does that work when you get somebody initiates a call and an ask?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, I mean, what happens is if someone wants to use RapidLink, we have a kind of quick and hopefully easy agreement that we would sign up. And then at that point, any type of mechanical repair that they want to have done, as kind of the person responsible for that piece of equipment, they can call us and then we can do those repairs. Obviously, there's always the potential that there's other commercial agreements kind of downstream on where they pass those invoices. But the sign up process with us is pretty easy, should be very kind of painless in terms of a brief agreement between our two companies. And then as soon as that's in place, we can dispatch the repair.
Yeah, from I mean, just and again, sorry, Rob, but Kevin gets this all the time. I never go off script, so this is just the way I roll. Yeah, I just get excited and it
That's
just
right.
it keeps coming. So yeah, in a IMC or broker capacity, I want to make it out there to the public that's listening. Like this is really cool for us too, right? It's not just asset owners that can take advantage of this service because we're constantly at the mercy of working with other people to try and get things repaired so we can move forward for our customers. So as long as all the agreements work out and everything is in place, I mean, this gives us a chance to really, control our own destiny and make things happen for our customers and not have to sit there and wait for somebody else to respond.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And, like I mentioned earlier, I think our primary goal and objective is to do things quickly and efficiently and effectively so the freight moves, right? At the end of the day, that's where we have to partner together and try and create better solutions in this marketplace. Is how do we deliver freight in a more consistent and timely manner? And if we can do that, then kind of everyone wins, if you will. So that's definitely what we're after as well.
Yeah, it's all about the turns, right? That's how everybody moves forward in this industry. It's all about the turns. So if it's broke, it can't turn.
That is right. That is right.
So speaking of that quick response, what is sort of a general response time that people would expect? And I would assume it probably varies a little bit based on where they are.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, as mentioned earlier, we have a heavy focus on customer satisfaction. So our goal is to, respond within minutes of any service request. We track a whole lot of statistics associated with those things to make sure that we're providing a good service. But just for example, the average wait time on a phone call for us is less than 15 seconds. So, there are a lot of ways people can engage us via email or phone call or through our Reach platform. But ultimately, that gives you some aspect of how responsive we want to try and be. There's not, at least for me, there's nothing more frustrating than sitting on a phone. And even though it may only be 1 minute, it feels like 10 minutes that you're waiting for someone to pick up on the other side. So we pay close attention to those things. As far as context for the repair time associated with an issue, a driver occupied event, just for context and example, over our past 12 months, what we call to roll time, right? So from when you call us to when you're actually rolling, it averages just under 3 hours on our average call to roll time today. Like you mentioned, different repair types can drive differences. If it's just a tire event, it's probably closer to 2.5 hours. And if it's something that's a little bit more involved, it could be a little bit more than 3 hours. But yeah, our goal is to get everyone back on the road and moving as quickly as possible. So that's one aspect of it. That's kind of more of the emergency roadside type of phone calls. The other side is customers can schedule events with us in advance and arrange the repairs to be done kind of whenever it's convenient for them, right? So we can come out and repair at their site or at night or on the weekends, or if there's a certain downtime that works best for them. And so, I think that's what we actually see more of. While we have a percent of our business that happens on the side of the road, so to speak, the majority of our business is actually dropped events, what we call dropped events, right? The unit's sitting somewhere, maybe you're in between drivers or it's, waiting to be put at a dock door and something needs to be done. And then we'll go and, dispatch service for that to be repaired. So there, in those circumstances, you're not really up against a driver occupied event, which, is really costly when you have a driver sitting there not moving. So, but yeah, it's I'd say it's the number one thing we look at is call to roll time, and that's most important to our customers. And so beyond that, I think the other thing we spend a lot of time on is making sure that we give regular updates and statuses, ETAs. That's the other part. So it's one thing, what's your overall time of repair, but throughout that time, are you providing folks with updates and ETAs and, hey, we're on our way and things like that? I think that's the other expectation of most folks is getting updated throughout the course of the repair. So we do a lot of that as well.
Yeah, that's where the 1 minute feels like 10 minutes, feels like 3 hours, feels like 3 days if you don't hear anything.
Yeah. And you're constantly wondering, right? So if an hour and a half has gone by and you haven't heard anything, are they on their way? I'm not like, what is happening? And so
Yeah.
we have a lot of kind of internal timers and processes to make sure that we're updating folks on where each event stands in the process and what's happening next.
So how has it been scaling to non-DCLI chassis situations as well? Because it really has only been going for, is it about a month or so that you announced it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there were some partnerships we developed even before we were kind of public because of the desire that folks had and wanted and needed. So I'd say there's a bit of like a soft opening that happened even before
Yeah.
the official launch of company names and things like that. But it's been going great. I think we've been really happy with the reception from the industry, just because I think there is a little bit of pain out there on whether that's current providers only being regionally based, or it's a pricing pain, or poor communication. There's a lot of things that I think folks can get frustrated with in this space. And so the customers that we have onboarded and have been dispatching, I think have largely been very satisfied so far. So yeah, look, it's going to be fun to see where it all goes here over time for sure.
So you mentioned the pricing piece too. That's something that everyone is always concerned about, no matter what what walk of life you're in. So where is the pricing, compared to what other people, maybe the regional people that they've worked with before?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that helps kind of differentiate us and sets us apart a bit is we have the benefit of supporting the 300,000 DCLI assets as well. And so, given the size and scale that we have, we think we can really help bring a benefit to the industry and savings to the marketplace. And so, that should show through by way of things like parts pricing and tire pricing and labor rates, and all those things are, can be a bit more beneficial when you have 300,000 assets kind of committed to some of these different avenues already. And so, the other customers get to benefit a bit from the size and scale of the DCLI footprint. So, for example, I think some of the things that we're proud of in setting ourselves apart is really just straightforward and transparent pricing. Like that's something that we're really trying to push. For example, some providers, maybe there's a labor rate in a market, let's say in Chicago, and there's a separate different labor rate if you're outside of Chicago. And so our plan and path forward is, hey, there's one labor rate within this region. It doesn't matter whether you're in Chicago, outside of Chicago, et cetera. And so we're really trying to help drive an aspect of simplification and standardization and transparency on the pricing front. And there's very little difference between daytime and nighttime. The only reason we can do those things is kind of back to that size and scale situation. If you have enough size and scale outside of Chicago, then you can still provide kind of consistent pricing, whether you're in Chicago or outside of Chicago. So, those are things that I think have been well received by the industry. So the other thing we've heard from the industry is kind of a distaste for surprise fees and charges when it comes to road service events or mechanical repairs. And so therefore, the way we've built this structure is a way to try and make sure that there are no kind of surprises for our customer. For us, it's very much about trying to, on the front end, explain, here's the pricing, here's how it works. So there is no surprise fees or charges later, because I think that's something else we've heard from the industry pretty consistently that's frustrating when those invoices come back in. So that's another area that we believe will help kind of differentiate us versus other solutions.
Shelley, you've never heard anyone complain about surprise fees?
Fees. No, I was just thinking as Rob was going through that. We hear this all the time in intermodal, the surprise fees. So that's really good that you guys had that forethought to make sure that try and prevent that on the front end.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a map on the website that's got the coverage area. There's some different shades on it. So tell, I mean, you said nationwide, but tell us kind of the whole gamut
For
there.
sure. So, we do have what we would call coast to coast coverage. We don't side of Alaska or Hawaii, so no services there
Mm.
at the moment.
Mm.
But we like to say kind of anytime, anywhere when it comes to the U.S. We have obviously a large density in the same places you would think most of the intermodal traffic's going to move. As you think about like population centers, all the east, is generally more dense when it comes to shipments and transportation and logistics. So anywhere in the east is well covered, and then around rail terminals, ports, all that stuff is where we're supporting those 300,000 chassis. So we have a large density and frequency of vendor network, and in the usual places you would expect to see freight. But even in kind of the more unusual spots, we have plenty of vendor coverage in the ability to perform repairs everywhere. But all the major metropolitan areas you would expect is where we have the largest density for sure.
Excellent.
So you mentioned the 300,000 chassis under DCLI. There's plenty of chassis under other arrangements as well. When we talked to Abby a couple of months ago on this podcast, we kind of went over the fact of how DCLI always maintains your chassis. You're always looking at them, making sure that they're in good condition. But what is the condition, would you say, of the general condition that you find out there? I'm sure it varies a bit, doesn't it?
From a DCLI perspective, we feel like our chassis are really in pretty good shape. There shouldn't be a lot of variation across the country, but we're also continuously trying to figure out how we can improve and deploy more technology and better processes and things like that, right? So on the DCLI side, for example, we recently announced that we're equipping our entire 53-foot chassis franchise, those 150,000 chassis, with GPS. The GPS is obviously going to help you understand more about how far the chassis has traveled, where it's actually located, to help prevent things like, dry runs, or you can really start to change your mechanical and repair programs to be more effective and efficient and things like that. So we're obviously excited about that in the DCLI side of the world. And we're also piloting, I would say, some more advanced technologies. Think about things like rollover tire technologies or gate image technology, where you can try and work to identify issues with equipment before it becomes a problem for the customer or for the move. And so really kind of pretty excited about what the future holds in terms of how do we leverage technology as an industry, try and be able to perform these repairs in the least impactful time to the shipment, right? That's what I think we're all trying to achieve. And I think there's a lot of different technological solutions that can help get us there. So we're excited about that on the DCLI side for sure.
So you touched on this a little bit earlier, but how does someone go about becoming a customer of RapidLink?
Yeah, so for existing DCLI customers, they can kind of contact their assigned account manager, which hopefully they know who that is. But anyone can visit our website at rapidlinkrepairs.com, and they can click enroll, and there'll be a short form they can fill out there, and we'll get back in touch with them. Or they can just simply email sales@rapidlinkrepairs.com, and that'll come to our team as well. And we'll reach out and happy to engage and have a conversation about how we might be able to help.
Anything we didn't cover that you wanted to hit on about RapidLink?
No, I mean, I think earlier Shelly had asked about the types of repairs that we see. I mean, I think the most common repairs that we see in the space, kind of tires, brakes, and lights, if you will, seem to be the major, not the major things, but the most common things that you see that people need help with. And so obviously all those things we do, but more complicated whether it's landing gear, suspension, all those things, twist locks, all that stuff is within our wheelhouse and day-to-day responsibilities. And then beyond that, even kind of towing services and things like that. If there's some major repair where you need to go back to a manufacturer or have it brought back to your personal shop or something like that, those are all things that we can do and do on a daily basis. So no, that's about it. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been fun, and look forward to continuing to figure out how better to move freight within this industry for sure.
Chassis all over the road all the time. The first thing that I thought of in reading about this RapidLink in the first place was just, it probably is not easy for everybody to just, if there's an issue, who do they call right away? So now to have an option that has got national coverage, if you're hooked up with them, then you do have that number in this particular kind of situation to call.
Yeah, I would put it in kind of a real life scenario is a lot of times in the intermodal space, we all love volume business, right? And so volume business usually means a pool of equipment. And so you've got a lot of times, if there's an issue in that pool, it's the chassis. That's the problem. And to call each individual provider to try and manage those on a case-by-case basis, it is very difficult and time-consuming and could cause you to lose loads or delay loads for the customer. So to have a service like this that you can sign up for and you can quickly repair, there's small things that even us as an IMC or a broker may choose that it's more efficient for us to pay that smaller dollar to fix, a flat tire or something to get the load moving and do well for our customer than to wait days to get that fixed. So that's why I think it is a real application for this service. It's the timeliness, the ability for everybody to be able to use it, and it helps just move things forward in the industry.
Yeah, and the cost certainty seems like a pretty key point too. Kind of knowing what you're going to be paying going in and not expecting some, little gotcha at the end.
Yeah, I think that, and in somebody's in our little circle here is going to pay the cost of those repairs no matter what, right? Because it's broke. Yeah. So it's really just a matter of the decision of is it worth getting it done quickly, or is it too expensive and you got to wait for the rightful owner to do it. But I think that no matter what, I can see us, even sending this, a link to the service or a recommendation of the service to carriers we use or to other providers if they're like, oh, well, it's taken somebody a long time to get back to us. We'd be like, hey, why don't you contact Rapid Repairs and they'll help you move that forward.
Yeah, and the proactive piece too for those who are not under like a DCLI or a large organization that's always doing routine maintenance, to know that they could do that too. Just schedule it when they know they have a little gap in the schedule to bring it in, take a look, fix something up that maybe wasn't stopping things from working, but could lead to something bad. Get that taken care of. So
yeah, and Rob made a very good point. We're not. It's almost like drivers. We're not getting any more mechanics in our industry. So which I would love if we would. Trades are wonderful, but they're very hard to find. So services like this are very important because it's really hard to keep up with the service and the repair of the equipment.
Well, thanks again to Rob for joining us. We'll have the link in the description, of course, for you to learn more, get signed up, all of that. Thank you for watching and or listening. I'm always going to say and or listening. I don't know why I do that, because if you watch, you're listening. I guess you could have the captions on it.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Maybe there's a little exception there.
There you go.
Anyway, thanks for consuming the podcast, however you do. Please do rate and review us. Drop us a comment, question. You can also email us at podcast@intechlogistics.com and visit our website, www.intechlogistics.com, for more about what we do. Kelly, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
We will talk to you again soon.